All right, let's dive right in, because right now, the biggest match in world soccer, well, it actually has no ball, no pitch, and incredibly high stakes. We are looking at a full-blown boardroom battle for the very soul and the future of world football. And honestly, the tension is absolutely electric. We're talking about high-level political maneuverings that are going to dictate exactly where hundreds of billions of dollars flow over the next decade.
What if the biggest battle in soccer right now has nothing to do with what happens on the field? You know, when we pull back the curtain on sports governance, we quickly realize that the real game changers aren't always wearing cleats. We are so used to focusing on the players, the managers, and the die-hard fans in the stands. But the future of how we actually consume this sport, that's being decided by executives sitting around mahogany tables.
No goals, no penalties. Instead of a thrilling World Cup final, we are witnessing a massive power struggle between the world's most powerful soccer organizations. And this matters to every single person who watches the sport. We're talking about absolute control over billions of dollars in the global football business. This shadow game impacts literally everything, from which tournaments you watch, to the streaming services that carry them, to how often you get to see your favorite national teams play. It's all happening behind closed doors, but trust me, the ripple effects are going to be felt in every single stadium on Earth.
Section 1. The FIFA Power Struggle.
At the center of all this is FIFA President Gianni Infantino. And right now, his leadership is facing a historic, unprecedented challenge from the very federations that make up the sport. The resistance is truly global. UEFA, which governs European soccer, alongside the Asian Football Confederation and CONCACAF, they've all publicly criticized Infantino. And what's really fascinating here is that this whole thing exploded over a highly controversial proposal involving billions in private equity investment. Basically, it was a massive plan to reshape the global calendar and bring in outside funding. Now, even though that specific proposal was eventually shelved, the way it was handled completely behind closed doors, well, it lit a match in the boardroom, and that fire is still burning.
Moving to Section 2. Why exactly is UEFA so angry?
Lost confidence in Infantino's presidency? I mean, wow. In the hyper-political, usually closed-ranks world of sports governance, you just do not see public declarations like this very often. European soccer officials maintain that their frustration is fundamentally about a severe lack of meaningful consultation. They feel like these massive landscape-shifting decisions that affect the entire sport are being made completely unilaterally, without bringing the continental organizations, the domestic clubs, or the players to the table. It really points to a complete breakdown in basic trust, transparency, and just the fundamental way the sport is run.
And to understand why that statement carries so much weight, just look at these names. The Champions League, the Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, and the massive European national teams. This isn't just some random collection of tournaments. These entities represent the vast majority of club soccer's global broadcast revenue. They are the absolute financial and cultural heavyweights of the entire global football economy. So when a coalition with this much immense financial leverage says they've lost confidence, yeah, the whole sports world shakes. They hold the capital, and they hold the top-tier talent.
But FIFA fights back. Because, of course, FIFA isn't just backing down or staying silent here. They are fiercely defending Infantino. In fact, they're claiming that critics are actively participating in a concerted, ongoing effort to undermine him. And what does that actually look like in practice? Well, it looks like strategic media leaks, whisper campaigns, and behind-the-scenes coalition building designed to destabilize his mandate. To FIFA, this is no longer just a simple disagreement over a shelved private equity policy. It has become a relentless bare-knuckle brawl for control and influence over the future of the global calendar.
Section 3. The 2026 World Cup Factor. 48. To really get what's driving this friction, we have to look at the massive commercial engine that is the 2026 World Cup across the US, Canada, and Mexico. This event fundamentally changes the sport's financial landscape. For the first time ever, the tournament will feature 48 teams. And that number perfectly represents Infantino's primary vision, aggressively expanding the sport into a bigger, more global commercial product. Jumping to 48 teams isn't just about inclusion, right? It's about unlocking entirely new demographics, securing untapped broadcast markets, and bringing completely new corporate sponsors into the FIFA ecosystem. And with 48 teams comes a staggering 104 total matches. Think about the sheer scale of that for a second. We are looking at unprecedented television deals. More matches equal more premium broadcast windows, and that creates a dramatic shift in leverage for whoever controls those rights. We're talking massive new sponsorships, month-long global engagement, and just endless entertainment revenue. FIFA isn't just running a quadrennial sporting event anymore, it's operating one of the absolute largest entertainment and media businesses on the planet. And the massive windfall from this expanded tournament, that is exactly what everyone is fighting to control.
Section 4. The impact on American fans.
So you might be wondering, why does this boardroom drama all the way over in Switzerland actually matter to an American fan? Well, the United States has become one of the fastest-growing soccer markets on the planet. We've got continuous Major League Soccer expansion, incredibly heavy investment from European clubs launching summer tours in the U.S., and the massive commercial momentum of that 2026 World Cup. If this political war drags on and creates a stalemate at the top of the sport, it directly threatens the international tournament schedules, the broadcast rights, and the huge commercial partnerships fueling soccer's explosion in America. Basically, the growth of the sport here relies entirely on a stable global calendar.
Could there actually be a boycott? This leads us to a pretty terrifying prospect for football fans everywhere. UEFA has actually discussed the possibility of non-cooperation with FIFA competitions if their governance concerns aren't addressed. It's the absolute nuclear option of sports politics, the ultimate leverage play.
Imagine a World Cup where Europe's biggest national teams refuse to participate. Just let that sink in for a second. A World Cup without players like Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, or Lamine Yamal. What happens to the multi-billion-dollar value of the tournament? What happens to the global broadcast deals if powerhouse nations like France, Spain, Germany, or England simply stay home? Now, while it's definitely not a confirmed outcome, the mere fact that a European boycott is even part of the conversation, that shows you exactly how deep and how dangerous this divide has actually become. It would completely fracture international soccer as we know it.
Section 5. Two visions for soccer.
Global commercial expansion versus traditional institutional control. This entire power struggle fundamentally builds into the ultimate philosophical conflict defining the upcoming FIFA presidential election. Infantino remains determined to continue leading, and this vote isn't just about one guy's career. It comes down to this core clash. On one side, Infantino's supporters champion aggressive, boundless global commercial growth. They argue he's expanded FIFA's reach, brought the game to emerging markets, and drastically increased financial reserves. But on the exact opposite side, UEFA demands absolute transparency. They argue that the traditional football institutions, the leagues and bodies that actually develop the talent, must maintain structural control over how the game evolves. They want to protect the sport's heritage from being completely diluted by pure commercial interests.
The next chapter of world soccer may not be decided on the pitch. It may be decided in the boardrooms. As the sport generates more money and larger global audiences than ever before in human history, the battle for control off the field has become just as fierce as the game on it. When unprecedented financial power is challenged, major conflict is just inevitable. So the next chapter of world soccer and how you eventually consume it on your screens might not be decided by a brilliant final-minute goal. It may very well be decided by executives maneuvering in boardrooms.
So, what will world soccer look like after the battle is over? That leaves us with this final, pivotal thought. Will FIFA emerge stronger, more centralized, and unified in its global commercial vision? Or will these incredibly powerful organizations become permanently divided, altering the structure of the beautiful game forever? The boardroom battle lines are drawn, the stakes have literally never been higher, and the whole world is going to be watching to see who ultimately takes control.